For years, American Pickers fans have been left guessing. What really happened between Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz? Why did Frank disappear from the show? And where did Danielle Colby stand in all of it? Now, after years of silence, Danielle is finally ready to speak out. And what she shares is raw, revealing, and emotional. She's not holding back. Danielle's finally setting the record straight, confirming rumors, reflecting on the rift between Mike and Frank, and sharing how it affected her personally. If you followed the show from the beginning, this is the truth you've been waiting for. Danielle Colby didn't start her journey with American Pickers as a TV personality. When the show first launched in 2010, she was simply helping out her friends, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz. While they hit the road searching barns and garages for lost treasures, Danielle held things down at Antique Archaeology in LeClaire, Iowa. She answered phones, tracked leads, and managed the chaos of incoming finds. Her quick wit, unique style, and authenticity quickly won fans over. She wasn't just a background character. Danielle was the glue that kept the operation moving. Mike was the dreamer, always chasing the next big find. Frank was more grounded, drawn to the stories and details behind smaller items. Danielle balanced the two, checking in with Mike about his grand ideas and making sure Frank was doing okay when he went quiet. The trio had chemistry, and it showed. They were more than colleagues. They were a quirky, road-weary family. When American Pickers premiered on the History Channel, it was an instant hit. Over 3 million viewers tuned in for the first episode. Suddenly, the little shop in Iowa was swarmed by fans hoping to see Danielle, Mike, or Frank. Danielle embraced the sudden fame with her signature charm. She smiled for pictures, showed off vintage finds, and posted updates that kept viewers connected to the show. But behind the scenes, things were changing. What started as a simple, dusty adventure was turning into a high-stakes production. They were now filming 250 days a year. Danielle could hear the toll it was taking in the voices of her friends. Mike leaned into the fame, opening a second shop in Nashville and expanding the brand. Frank, however, preferred to keep a low profile, sticking close to home and staying out of the spotlight. The pressure to perform weighed heavily on them all. By 2015, each episode cost significantly more to produce than in the early days. Mike wanted big-ticket finds to keep ratings up. Frank wanted to stick to the roots of what made the show special. Danielle heard the arguments. Nothing explosive, just the kind of tension that builds up when old friends are stretched thin. By 2017, trouble was hard to ignore. Danielle wasn't on the road with the guys, but she was always in the loop. She knew Frank was battling Crohn's disease, a painful condition that was getting worse. His calls became shorter, his presence on set less frequent. Crew members noticed too. Frank was missing days, looking run down, and growing frustrated with the direction the show was heading. Danielle didn't push him. Frank was private. When he called her to vent about Mike turning the show into a circus, she listened but didn't take sides. "He's just excited," she told Frank, but his response was cold. Danielle felt stuck in the middle. The fun road trips and easy camaraderie were fading. She kept the shop running and smiled for fans, but deep down, she knew something was about to give. In March 2020, Frank filmed his final episode of American Pickers. Just like that, he was gone. Danielle found out from Mike, who called one evening with the news. "Frank's done." Mike didn't go into detail, and Danielle didn't press. She had seen the writing on the wall, but it still hurt. Frank had been there since the beginning. His laugh, his love for weird collectibles, he was part of the heart of the show. Frank later spoke to the press, saying he hadn't heard from Mike in 2 years. "My back's messed up," he explained, and Mike didn't even call. Danielle didn't completely buy that. She knew Mike had worked around Frank's schedule in the past, but she also understood why Frank might feel abandoned. Chronic pain, fame, and distance had changed everything. Fans were outraged, demanding answers. Danielle once again stayed quiet. She didn't want to fuel the fire or pick a side. Mike was her friend, and so was Frank. She hated what had happened between them, but knew it wasn't her fight to fix. She focused on her work, the shop, and her own creative outlets. As 2020 unfolded with the pandemic, Danielle kept antique archaeology open when she could, masked up and still smiling. Fans continued to ask about Frank. "He's taking a break," she'd say, trying to keep things vague and respectful. The truth was complicated. Frank's health was in decline. 17 hospital visits in 2 years, rehab for alcohol, and growing resentment toward the show that made him famous. Danielle didn't see Frank as a failure or a problem. Pain changes people, she reflected. She remembered the old Frank, the one who got giddy over a dusty toy, and knew that guy was hurting. Meanwhile, Mike was pushing forward, bringing in new faces, and doing what he could to keep the show going. Danielle watched the new episodes. They were well-produced, entertaining, but something was missing. Frank's grounded energy, his authenticity, the old spark between friends, it wasn't quite the same. She kept her head down, dancing when she could, and tried to block out the online noise. Fans argued about who was to blame. Mike? Frank? Money? Ego? None of it mattered to her. She saw two people in pain and a friendship that had frayed beyond repair. In July 2021, after months of silence, Danielle finally spoke out. She'd stayed quiet to avoid fanning the flames, but the questions never stopped. People demanded she choose a side, explain what really happened, and lay blame. She hated that, so she picked up her phone and shared her truth. Danielle didn't dish out drama or accusations. Instead, she spoke from the heart. She acknowledged Frank's struggles, praised his role in building the show, and expressed sorrow over the fallout. She didn't absolve Mike, but made it clear. No one was the villain. Life had taken its toll. Fame had changed things. Pain had made things harder. And sometimes people just drift apart. It wasn't a Hollywood scandal. It was a real-life friendship strained by time, illness, and pressure. Danielle, always the steady one, stayed true to herself. She kept the shop going, kept creating, and kept loving the fans who had supported them all these years. It's true, Danielle Colby has been an essential part of American Pickers for years. Her candidness in sharing her side of the story gives fans a deeper understanding of what's happened behind the scenes. Whether or not Frank is part of the show anymore, Danielle's presence and spirit are what have kept the heart of the show alive. If you want to keep up with more updates like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more content. Thanks for watching.